Hey, welcome back. This is Gerbil, and in this tech tip video, I'm going to show you how to do some simple editing and enhancing of photos in Apple's Pages. If you enjoy this video or got something out of it that was useful, please give me a like and subscribe down below. It would really mean a lot to me. All right, let's get started. So the first photo we're going to look at is a picture of a small church in Austin, Texas. So this photo is actually not bad, but it could be better. Now the one on the left, we're just going to use this as a control. We're not going to change it. The one on the right, I'm going to use this one to edit and we compare the differences. So how do you edit a picture in Pages? Well, if you select the picture by clicking on it and you go to the toolbar that says Format up here, you can then click the tab for Image and it will give you some information about it. I'm going to ignore this top section. Exposure is something most people are familiar with. It allows you to brighten or darken an image. Saturation deals with how much color is in the photo. As I move this slider to the right, you can see all of the colors become quite extreme. If you go to the left, you remove all color, desaturating the photo. Nice thing about Pages is that it never permanently saves these changes. You can always reset the image at any time. So let's try another option. Instead of manually controlling exposure and saturation, I'm going to try to let Pages adjust it for me by pressing the Enhance button. Look at the difference. This was the default photo. This is the enhanced version. Now what is that doing? Next to Enhance are three little sliders. If you click on that, it opens up the Adjust Image palette. The top one is called Levels. It's a histogram showing the amount of red, green, and blue in your picture from the darkest of those three to the brightest. By moving these sliders, we can make the entire image brighter or darker on the opposite side. Exposure we just discussed, saturation we just discussed. What is contrast? Contrast is similar to levels. It basically is increasing or decreasing the difference in all of the pixels across the entire picture. Highlights and shadows are difficult to explain, but if you just play with them for a while, you'll start to get an understanding and a feeling of what works and what doesn't. Sharpness and denoise are opposites. What sharpness does is it brings out the contrast from pixel extremes, meaning the difference between the blue and the black side by side. It would leave one area of solid color untouched, but it brings out again the contrast between adjacent color tones. So as I increase the sharpness, you can really see what's happening in the buildings, the siding on the building here. Look at this. This is the sharpness at 0 and all the way up, which actually is quite hard to look at for many people. Denoise tries to smooth out and take away all the pixelation and noisy elements in an area of singular or close to singular color. So as I slide this denoise over, you notice the sky becomes a lot more natural looking rather than something very grainy. Unfortunately though, it also blurs things considerably. Look at the tree here. Look at the quality of the detail in that tree versus when it was back at the base setting of 0. So now we can really see the difference that only a few seconds of adjustments took. Let's try this one more time. So the image on the left has not been altered, nor is the one on the right, so I'm going to use this as the control for comparison. I'm going to select the one on the right and just press Enhance. Look at the difference immediately. There's much greater depth to it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open the Adjust Image menu again, and I'm just going to look at and toggle some of these sliders just to see if anything here makes a further improvement to this picture. Maybe a bit more saturation, maybe a bit more adjustments to the levels there, maybe increase the exposure a little bit, and let's compare. In this case, I think it really provided a lot more depth. I feel like this metal wheel on the left sits back much further than this one. The darker image seems to feel a little bit flatter. These are pictures taken by students that were submitted in design portfolios, and there's probably could be enhanced. For example, this photo is meant to showcase how some components fit together to form the Eiffel Tower. Yet it's standing on its side. That's not natural. One thing you often need to do is rotate images in Pages. To do that, Make sure you have the image selected, then go to the Arrange tab, and at the bottom is a silly little dial that allows you to spin and rotate, or you can type in an exact measurement of how you want to rotate it. Once we've rotated it, we see a second problem here. There's a piece of table here that's rather distracting. Let's remove that by cropping it. In Pages, you double click on your photo and you have two options and a slider that pop up below. The first one allows you to select the size of the image. If I select that, I can resize the image. But by doing this, notice I can crop off the edges and not change the overall size of the photograph on the page. The second option does change the size of the photo on the page. So there are several ways to adjust this. Let's see this again before my edits. Okay, let's make a copy, rotate 90 degrees, double click. I'm going to crop off the sides, a little bit of the bottom, and voila. The next thing I'm going to do is go to my image and enhance it and see what we get. Ooh, it's debatable if I like that or not. Let's open the adjust image and let's decrease the contrast a bit, increase the saturation a bit, adjust the sharpness. I'm going to denoise it. I'm going to adjust the temperature to make the whole thing a bit cooler, which will make the white paper whiter. And that's it. Which one do you like better? Now the second image here is a drawing of what looks like an army man, and there's a lot we can do here. This is supposed to be a white piece of paper, but we can see there's a lot of colors in it. So the first thing I would do is desaturate it. All the blues are gone from the top, the yellows are gone, and orange are gone. The next thing I would do is I would press the auto enhance to see, and in this case, it is a fail. So reset, desaturate, adjust image manually, and I would bring in the levels to create a lot more contrast. Now I would increase my exposure here, play with the contrast. I don't really like any of that. I'm going to denoise to smooth out the white areas, and I'm going to increase the sharpness, hoping to get a more clear looking figure out of it. Okay, what do you think? Not sure I actually like the changes much, but it definitely is a bit easier to see the character in the middle. Okay, these next two examples are also from students. This one is very similar to the army man above. I would desaturate it to bring out a more natural paper tone, and then I would probably adjust the levels to try to find more contrast to further understand the sketch drawings and not be distracted with the yellow tones. The image below it clearly has some fingers that need to be cropped, so double click on your image and again choose the method on how you want to crop it. Do you want to zoom in on the picture leaving it the same size? I probably would in this case. Next thing, again, this is a white piece of paper, so I would desaturate it, take away the red yellow hue to it, and then I would probably try to adjust the contrast to again make it easier to see what this is supposed to be. There you go. You can decide for yourself which one you like better, but for a design portfolio, these on the right are probably preferable to these on the left. In the case of the Eiffel Tower, this is clearly more valuable as a photograph as it's easier to understand and it's less distracting. This one, sometimes the only thing you can do is take a new photograph. All right, I hope this has helped. Thanks for watching.